like the modern way of, doing drug discovery.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Manoj
Although I
actually
must
represents a
appreciate
fund which has invested
our
in
investor
molecular.
Kotak were a lot receptive to hearing this out. I mean, of course, they had doubts, they had concerns, they had queries and all, but they were a lot receptive. Having said that, I must also mention that back then, we had these two main hurdles, actually three hurdles. One, the patent scenario, the patent regime scenario was not very clear, like which way we are going. Are we going to continue doing the process patents, or what kind of patent for products kind of scenario India will emerge into? So that was slightly a concern point, and our business model was towards the product side.
Sorry to interrupt you here, but I think India has adopted product patent regime in 2005, and process anyway, we've been doing it for ages. So what was the confusion?
No, I mean, we started in 2003. And at that time, to have an idea that there would be a company with product, and that too, the second challenge, without a lot, not a very clear-cut or very, what should I say, like a set of examples were there in terms of telling that what kind of model we will follow. And of course, they emerged, and then there were companies like Bharat Biotech and some other companies that people were tracking. But still, for a startup company, it was a difficult idea to sell. So these were the things, and yeah, it took time for the first
So how long did it take for you to raise your, from business plan to actually get the money from Kotak,
Yeah, for the first investment, it was, I would say it was more than a year we were discussing it from the first contact. And fortunately, we had some revenues and some angel funding.
1 year is nothing.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is that we had angel investors, we had some revenue, and there were some demonstrable output too at our disposal. But still, with that, it took some time.
Sure.
So those were the three challenges, I would say.
Sure, thank you. I'm going to come back to Sunny. Sunny, what are the viable exit strategy for life sciences industry? Keeping in mind that their IPO markets are not very favorable for last 3-4 years. So, and you have invested in growth companies anyway. So, I think the answer is very clear, but I would like to hear your perspective still.
Sure, IPOs have been tough, and everyone knows that. So that just leaves, a couple options. I mean, there is strategic M&A option also by virtue of their size and scale in the industry that they operate in. But it's a tough question. I mean, if you were to talk to people who actually give us money, meaning the limited partners, the single biggest challenge that they face with Indian GPs is just getting exits. I mean, it just seems like, exits are hard to come by, and usually for us as OrbiMed, going into any company, we at least have a 4 to 5 year time frame that we sort of mentally work with. So there is patient capital available, but oftentimes even that is not enough. So I think, my advice would be that all the entrepreneurs sitting here do also keep an open mind regarding all different types of exit possibilities.
Does the same ecosystem exist from an OrbiMed point of view in China?
China has a very vibrant IPO market. So that's, I guess, the big difference where, there are the large exchanges and then also others, newer ones in Shenzhen and things like that, which have smaller companies being allowed to list, and the multiples are just fabulous. I mean, we'll rule over multiples like that. So the overall risk appetite from and it's not just the IPO market, the risk appetite on the part of the entrepreneur. Someone was mentioning yesterday about people willing to make the bet in the form of developing a product which might kind of not result in anything, right? So that is a bit of a tougher bet for an entrepreneur to make in India. So there's a bit of a, I guess, a need for the risk appetite to increase across the board at the entrepreneur level, so that there are better ideas coming to us, at the private equity VC level, so that those ideas get funded. In addition, the government initiatives were already mentioned, so I'll not repeat those. And then finally, hopefully that will translate into a more understanding public market as well. I mean, we've all seen the example of, I won't name the company, but large companies which are, developing products which have been partnered for 20-25 million upfront payments. And as long as those payments come, the market ascribes a value. But once a couple things go down, markets are pretty ruthless as well. So there's a general need for understanding how value is created in a non-revenue company. And once that happens across the board, hopefully, entrepreneurs will also see the option of an IPO for such companies.
Sure. From Wellcome Trust point of view, sir, do you believe in long-term partnerships, or how do you get an exit?
Surely we believe in long-term partnership, and the first right of refusal of follow-on funding lies with the trust.
Okay.
Whatever funding agreements we put in place, it will up to a certain milestone or certain level. But we built it into our agreement that the follow-on funding, if you require, first you have to come to us. We try to build a long-term partnership, not only for funding, but other issues like building the team up, especially in the case of SMEs who are really need mentoring. So we try to mentor them, take it to a certain level, and then follow on funding. And we always try to leverage this funding by philanthropic trust or national governments and things like that. And we try to take that group ahead. So we build a long-term partnership, and the IP, if generated, we try to see that it is exploited and the revenue is plowed back to the company, and then that helps us to take it further to cross boundaries. For example, the India scheme which we run we call it In India, for India and Beyond scheme. So we try to develop in India, make it in India, make a success story in India, and take it across the borders. So we definitely try to bring a long-term partnership.
Sure. So from fund philosophy point of view, when you commit investments in UK and other developing countries, is it really different from what you do in India, or it's absolutely consistent,
It's a bit different in the sense in UK or US companies, we try to take equity, especially in the SMEs. We have different model of funding there. But in India, we try to do a revenue share model. That is the major difference. What practically I have found is the difference between UK and India is, in India, the SMEs need a very strong handholding, which is not there in the other.
Especially in the biotech space.
Biotech space, yes. So that is the major difference I have seen.
Yeah, I've met so many biotech companies, and when you ask them, where you are in the IP front, of course you don't have revenues, that's fine, but where are you in the IP? Actually, we'll be registering maybe next year or next to next year. I think that basic fact, when you're putting dollars in research and you don't have your IPR ready, either filed or granted, I think the basic principle itself is wrong, So I think that's where organizations like you can contribute a lot in educating those guys, and there's nothing wrong that they don't know, but I think it's about awareness, and of course, thinking of a mind of partnership, And I think the future of this sector, if this has to grow, it's about partnerships. Partnership with private equity funds, partnership with biotech companies, with pharma. I think it's partnership. That's the mantra for the sector. I
that is the reason when an applicant comes to us, we tell them you have to tell us the whole story. They are very good at science. Science, they will definitely are strong at science,
sure.
No doubt about it. But when you talk about the downstream part of it, we find gaps.
Sure.
So whenever they come to us, we tell them you have to tell us the whole story and the exit part. That is, and we help them in doing it. We understand that they might not have that expertise. We help them in doing it.
Sure. And Rajesh has already said 24 months horizon, So then possibly we are looking at.
I'm not looking at a 24-month horizon for exit. I mean, I wish. We have patient capital, 5, 7, 8 years. But I was just saying 24 months value creation, because if that doesn't happen, then
it's
the next round of
at
capital.
least it tells you whether you're going to be there or not.
Yeah, the next round of capital doesn't come in,
sure.
And that's not good for the company. Where are the exits? I mean, the big question that LPs are asking all the investors in India. We are hoping we can get some secondaries from some large private equity funds. Also, the strategic M&A within India. Larger companies partnering. I think we have a problem there with larger companies partnering with smaller companies, and it doesn't, preclude somebody from, going out of the country and looking for global partnerships. Co-development partnerships, just like, GSK does a bunch of it. Wellcome Trust does a bunch of it. That is potentially an exit. Secondaries, co-development partnerships, IPOs. We are.
Anand, your views? You have successfully exited many companies and made an IRR of about 30%.
Yeah, last year one of my companies, which is a startup, got acquired by Amgen for $1 billion. And I was fortunate that I became a $1 billion club member in life sciences investments. In fact, this was my second $1 billion acquisition. the first investment was from India, which is not a startup, but a